So I'm just talking with Valerie, and we're talking about when you've been studying a bit of clean language and systemic modeling, and you want to start taking it live and adding it into your own work. So give us an update, Valerie. What have you been up to?
Well, recently I offered some team days to some people so that I could practice my systemic modeling tools. And team days are things that I can do, like I do on a regular basis. Like I can run a team day with my eyes shut, I guess. But I wanted this time to bring some more of what I've been learning through the systemic modeling program. So I went to my peers on Clean Campus and I said, I'm about to do this. Does anybody want to chat about it?
For those who don't know, Clean Campus is like a free, clean community, so that people who are studying any sort of clean approaches can come in and lean into other students around the world and get some feedback or some ideas.
Yeah, so I posted on there and said, I'm doing this. Does anybody want to talk about it? And I had a few people that were able to help me out and just kind of bounce some ideas around about how I might run this team day differently to what I might have done it before. And yeah, it was really interesting. Then I went into the day and I had my plan. And at one point towards the end, I was so proud because I detected some drama and I gave each person their space in the room. And I said, for you, this is this, and for you, this is this. And they were completely conflicting ideas. And I said, both of those need to have space in this group at this moment. And the room kind of went, oh. And it was like, it wasn't something I'd experienced with a room before, but I knew I would never have been able to get that to this get that group to this point so quickly if I hadn't have been using my systemic modeling training to get us there.
So what did you do to create that? So first of all, you detected it. How did you know it was happening?
I knew it was happening because I could see somebody wasn't comfortable with the conversation that was going on around them. So I asked them to speak and kind of share their opinion. And then somebody else in the room went, "Oh no, but no," and completely said the opposite of what the woman was saying. And at that point, I knew I had to do something. It was like there was this feeling of injustice. This woman was being like railroaded into something that she really didn't want to do. So yeah, and that's how I kind of knew there was something going on.
So you got that little feeling of injustice. And then what did you do to make the space?
I interrupted them and I said, for you, this is this, and for you, this is this. And then instead of trying to maybe speak to the woman about what would make you comfortable with that and try and fix it, I just made the whole room aware that both of those things were true right now. Which is probably not something I would have been conscious of before, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's more because I think that sometimes when people notice things like the drama-free tools or the systemic modeling, it's like you're trying to avoid it or fix it. Whereas it sounds like you're doing what Jacqueline Anserin describes as make space, not war. So here's a space for you. Here's a space for you. These things are both true. Let's accept it first before we do anything about it. So what happened next? I mean,
So
I'm sorry, I'm not saying that you have to have sorted it out next, because I know what you're saying. The fact that you detected it and kept your head and made the space and made the room aware, that seems plenty. But what did happen next?
So what actually happened next was some more people in the room tried to force their opinions on this woman, and I had to stop them again. And I actually used the word thrown. I said, you're having all these things thrown at you. And then I said to her, for this idea that this group are talking about to work for you right now, it would need to be like what? And shut everybody else up. And she was able to have her say, and they were able to find a way forward. So I was pretty chuffed with that. But one of the things that was most awesome about it was that I don't think we would even have got to a place where she was able to say what she said had we not have approached it differently to the way I would have before. So I'll go into that a little bit. So previously, I would have asked the group for all their ideas for what they want to do next. And then I would have probably gone, well, let's dot vote. And we would have gone with the majority. But this time, I approached it in a totally different way, where I let them have a conversation. I wrote down all the things they were talking about. I brought in the people who were being more quiet. And then I said, who wants to take one of these things forward and has the capacity? So we were looking for intrinsic motivation and the actual capability to do the thing. So we went a few levels deeper than, okay, the group's come up with all of these ideas. Which one do you want to do? And by taking that moment to go a bit deeper, we found which ones meant something to people. And that brought out the kind of some excitement in some other people, but also I could see some people withdrawing. And we wouldn't have got to that had I have done it in a different way. But also it would have taken them a lot longer to realize that it didn't work for this one person, because they wouldn't have had the conversation there and then. They would have had the conversation in a couple of months' time when it was playing out the decision that they'd made. So that made it even better for me.
Brilliant. Well, I can't say fairer than that. It's like you spotted it, you did it, and then you were able to work to move forward with it. That's fantastic. So for other people, if you, because I know you were saying that, if you tell other people this, they're like, they could be a bit like, well, so what? So you got a bit of drama, you asked a couple of questions, you moved on. What do you feel as a facilitator? What's the difference this has made for you?
I think the whole process so far of learning more about clean language and systemic modeling and drama-free conversations, it's just made me like a lot more aware of what I'm doing and a lot more cautious about the damage I could be causing. Quite often I'm just with a team for a day or two, so I don't get to see the way that it plays out in the future. And this is making me more conscious of that, I think.
Are there any costs?
Costs? What kind of costs?
It's true. Are there any costs to, if you are more aware and you are more conscious, are there any costs to this increase in awareness and consciousness?
I mean, that team day took me a lot more time to think about and plan than other team days I would have done in the past. Like, I spoke to each person beforehand to get an understanding of where the team was for them at the moment and what they'd like to have happen in the future. So I had a lot more information than I might have had previously, where I might have only spoken to like the lead person who'd asked me to come in. So yeah, there's a time cost. There's definitely more responsibility on me as a facilitator because of that. But I think that in this case anyway, it led to more trust on the day. They all knew who I was. We'd had 25 minutes to get to know each other ahead of time. So I think that, yes, there was more time from my part in prep, but it definitely got us to a better outcome than I could have done if I hadn't done all of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like to interview people if I can, even if it's just for 15 minutes beforehand. And then I think that there's a funny balance, which is I'm more responsible for advocating for the different individuals, but less responsible for making decisions on behalf of the group. Do you know, it's difficult to explain it.
Yeah.
I'm more responsible for making sure that they take responsibility for what they are going to do. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Another clean conversation. I think I really glad that you were able to talk about it, because I think that step of conscious competence that you're in now is a crucial one in the learning process. So I hope other students find that useful too.